Kia ora team, Brad here for Everfit Physio and Coaching. Today I wanted to go over a video that goes over a really simple way of looking at training zones. As a young athlete, I was fortunate enough to be coached by one of the best triathlon coaches in the world, Dr. John Hellemans. Now he competed at a really high level himself, placing 13th in the World Triathlon Champs, and this was when he was 40 years of age. Dr. Hellemans coached me in triathlon from my mid-teenage years right up into my early 20s and helped me compete at the Hawaiian Ironman World Championships. Dr. Hellemans knew the sports science backwards, but always encouraged his athletes to dial into what the body was telling us. Having that mind-body connection is not just important for health, but it can improve performance in this very device and technology dependent world. Now over here you'll find a table that was prepared by Dr. John Hellemans that lays out his really simple green, yellow, red approach. What I like most about this table is the column overall subjective feeling, which adjusts for the athlete level, ability and fitness. So we have green, which feels comfortable and you can keep that up for a long time. Amber, somewhat uncomfortable and you can keep it up for maybe 60 to 90 minutes. And then red, which is uncomfortable. And depending on your fitness, you can keep it up for between 6 and 60 minutes. The general consensus is that there's 5 zones identified as easy, steady, moderately hard, hard, and very hard. This terminology is really important because it immediately says something about how we perceive those 5 zones subjectively. We can simply score it from 1, easy, to 5, very hard. Our default system is always to return to that terminology when we're training and racing, well before we look at the scientific numbers, rather than vice versa. To help with this, we need to focus in on feedback from our body. This can be through breathing, muscle discomfort rating, and an overall interpretation of our ease of movement. For breathing, you'll be somewhere on the spectrum between conversation pace, zone 1, and panting, breathing heavily, zone 5. And the degree of muscle discomfort will help you determine what zone you are in. Zone 1 and 2 can be called green, zone 3 yellow, and zone 4 and 5 red. Green, so called because the pace in zone 1 and 2 can be kept up for a long time without any recovery required. These are the safe zones, the anabolic zones or health zones, as they strengthen the bodily systems immediately. Red, zone 4 and 5, are the catabolic zones, as the body systems are stressed and they break down before they recover and adapt during that recovery time. If not enough recovery, that's that rest and nutrition, is allowed between sessions, which contain a zone 4 and or 5 component, the body will gradually weaken, not adapt and strengthen. This is why for even competitive athletes, you can't really have more than 10 to 20% of all your training time spent in that zone 4 and 5, and preferably it needs to be spread throughout the week. Amber, zone 3, isn't interesting as it can work positively, that's anabolic, when fresh and fully recovered, but negatively, that's catabolic, breakdown, if you're already tired. It is safest not to spend too much time in zone 3. When doing steady zone, that's that zone 2 training over undulating terrain, it's really easy to drift into zone 3 at the uphill section, so watch out for that. I sometimes bring zone 3 into a session which contains zone 4 and 5 components to keep the athlete from overdoing that zone 4 and 5. An example is my up-tempo sessions, 800 meters or 1000 meter reps, and I'll do maybe 6 reps and have those up-tempo zone 3 spread in between the zone 4 and 5. When you train by listening to your body, rather than solely relying on data from heart rate, power, and even lactate threshold readings, your confidence and joy will increase. Use the data for feedback. I tend to use my heart rate data retrospectively sometimes after a session, rather than continually checking my watch during those sessions, which really takes away the joy and that internal feedback. If you're liking what you're seeing and hearing on this channel, please subscribe. It really helps me get this expansive wellness message out there. If you'd like a little bit more information on Dr. John Hellemans and his coaching methods, then I'll put a reference link to these books in the description below. Now please, go out there, get strong, earn those miles, champion compassion, and I look forward to catching up with you on the next video.